Good evening. Welcome to the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship May presentation. It's May Day. There's some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck. And tonight we have Joanna Douglas, and her presentation will be a transformative talk on the Enneagram and the emotions that drive you. So this is a little bit different. We had an Enneagram speaker in the past, and I believe Joanna's presentation is going to give more insight into that. I want to thank you for joining us this evening. If you're here for the first time, welcome. And we're glad that you found us. If you've been with us before, welcome back to the SFF community. My name is Smith Prim. I'm the co-chairman for the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship, along with Catherine Smart. She keeps me straight and keeps me going. And Catherine is also our writer and editor, so she does a lot of work there to get our message out. Kim Kasdorf is with us also. He's our media director. He handles the recording and posting to YouTube. And Eileen Jenna is our program coordinator. She's the one that brings the wonderful speakers like the one we have tonight. So welcome, everyone. And just want to let you know that we're here. We want you to know that SFF is here for you. Our nonprofit, all-volunteer run organization is here to help you develop and enhance your spiritual, mystical, and metaphysical awareness and consciousness. We do that by sponsoring programs like the one tonight, designed to facilitate your personal growth and development and a holistic spiritual approach to health and living. Our program is being recorded. Just want to let you know that. If you don't want to be recorded, simply turn off your video and that will be fine. Also, let's see. For tonight, Joanna has offered to guide us through the intro meditation, and that's going to come right after I introduce her a little bit. So we're going to handle things in a little bit just slightly different order. Joanna Douglas is a certified executive and leadership development coach. Tonight, she guides us through one of the most transformative aspects of the Enneagram. Tonight, Joanna will explore how understanding the emotional drivers of the Enneagram can empower you to break free from limiting patterns and embrace more consciousness, fulfilling way of being. What's the Enneagram? The Enneagram is, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, I think I am, is considered a profound and dynamic personality system that offers deep insights into our core motivations, fears, and desires. It's rooted in the ancient wisdom and enriched by modern psychology. It provides a transformative framework for personal growth, conscious leadership, and spiritual awakening. And I love that. Some of the things you'll learn tonight, the passion, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, she will, the passion and virtue concept, understanding emotional drivers, and breaking free from emotional things I really highly value and what we offer is that we're like hands-on doing some exercises that will help you get some personal experience. And you can't get that when you watch it on our YouTube video. You get some input of the content, but you don't get to engage and be active with the other folks. So for tonight, I wanted to let you know also we have a question and answer that comes we'll take a little break about 8:20, 8:25. And for about 5 minutes, come back and we'll do a Q&A for about 30 minutes up till 9 o'clock. And let's see, at the somewhere we will introduce next our upcoming psychic fair. It will be coming up in June. So we want to prepare you for that. And Catherine will be sending out emails about that so that we can get everybody prepped to understand who's going to be our vendors, who's going to be our psychics and our contributors to that. So that's always a good thing to participate in. So I'm honored to introduce tonight's speaker, Joanna Douglas.
So let's just be present and let's just take a deep, slow breath together and then we'll exhale fully. So in together. Oh. I'm a fan of the end of the day, sighing it out. So with your next breath, just feel yourself dropping into your heart, dropping into your presence, into your body, into the stillness beneath all of the noise you dealt with all day. Let's just take another breath in. Oh. side out if that feels good. So in this meeting, let's let go of the need to perform or fix or figure anything out. So right now, there's nothing for you to do. There's just space for you to be as you are. Let's just, if you feel inclined, put a hand over your heart, the other one on your belly, maybe feel the breath move in and out. And know that while we're talking about development and healing, that you are already whole. You're already home as you are, who you are. And again, there's nothing that's wrong with you. So let's take one last breath together. And as you exhale, invite your essence to lead tonight, your soul, your spirit, your connection to God. God is all that is, whatever name you use. Just invite that into your world tonight and let it lead. And so when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Let's come back together. Beautiful. Thank you all. So the Enneagram isn't just a personality test. I feel like it's and there's many of my Enneagram friends that don't just see it as a personality test. It's a map to liberate yourself from ego. You guys probably talk a lot about ego and subserving the ego. And so, as I mentioned, I really believe that the Enneagram can help us. And that's why I focus on work, because I'm trying to make work suck less for being so direct and help, liberate leaders to make work better. And I think we can do that by heightening our awareness and building compassion for the differences and nuances of these differences. So this presentation, you've already had an Enneagram presentation, and it's not necessarily important for you to know what your type or even subtype, if that's something that you know. I would just recommend, as we go through here, pick one that resonates with you. If you don't know, if you already know, great. If you don't, just see, I'll hold something up for a few minutes and we can do that. But we're going to be working on, and there's two little workshop sections, and I'll play some music and we can, because what I want to do is get to some application, and then in Q&A, we can maybe work through some of those things that came up for you guys. But we're going to be working with the lower emotional and higher emotional part of the Enneagram. We're going straight into some more advanced work with the Enneagram. And I think that's okay. You can watch all kinds of videos or listen to podcasts about what a type 1 is, what a type 3 is, but we're going to talk about how you then apply knowing that information to heal and reconnect with essence, higher self, whatever that is for you. Okay, so let's get into that, and I'll go into, there's more stuff, and we'll just get in. Let's just go. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today, again, is save any questions that you have, if you wouldn't mind writing them down. Again, we're going to have a couple of workshop pieces. I'm going to go over what the passions are. Then you're going to have an opportunity to understand what the passions are and how they show up for you. Then we'll talk about what virtues are. And then we'll talk about how you can apply virtues as an antidote for these lower emotional passions, which, by the way, line up with 7 deadly sins for those of you. There's 7 of the Enneagram types that line up exactly with 7 deadly sins. If you're familiar with Dr. David Hawkins' work, also line up with all of the consciousness map under 200. So lot of world synergies in a bunch of different areas between this information. So save questions till the end, and we'll go through passions and virtues, and then we'll talk about what you're going to take away with you. Okay, where's my little pointer again? All right, so let's just talk real quickly about what passions and virtues are. So when we come into the world, we are living our virtue. When we start our physical experience, I believe I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience, guessing everyone here believes that too, and whatever, how that customizes. So we are living our virtue when we come into this world, and it'll make a little bit more sense when I tell you what they are. But then we had experiences as little humans, 3, 4, 5-year old, me, you, the whole world. We all experienced something where we forgot our virtue, and it distorted our personality structure and operating system. And unless you've done inner growth work, we as humans are utilizing the operating system that helped us survive as toddlers, which can be problematic. You may know some people that are toddling around as 54-year-olds operating from a 4-year-old operating system. And I know my conference on Monday is their jaws are going to drop. What do you mean? My CEO is a 5-year-old? And I'm going to go, yep, potentially. So this lower emotional passion it's a motivation for each type. And that's what I really like about the Enneagram is it gets into what the motivations are. And the passion is the motivation of what you're trying to cover up or avoid. Okay, so it is a go-to emotion, and it is the drive. It is the drive to get what you need to survive and how you get it. So if you're 3, 4, 5, you don't have the prefrontal cortex decision-making and problem-solving skills that you have today. And so a 3-year-old doesn't know that mommy's just out of the room or mommy needed to go have surgery. They go, oh my gosh, my mother abandoned me. Right? Those are, I tell people, if you have parents, you need therapy, period. Because you don't know what you don't know. Like anyway, that's my soapbox. Okay, so we're just trying to get our human needs fulfilled. So we come in virtuous, it gets all distorted and becomes some motivation to get what we need to survive. So that's virtues and passions. So we'll go more in depth than that in a minute. Okay, so flippy. Yay. Okay, so this is an Enneagram. We're going to break it down. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but if you have a general idea of what your type is, and Eileen or Smith, can people just sort of raise hands and let me know if they know their type? I can't see all the hands.
I'm not sure.
Okay, Jane. Okay, I can see some. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's
okay, looks like majority. Okay, looks like the majority do. Okay, so if you don't, there's type 1. Some people call them names. Some people call them the number. My particular school uses the number because different teachers, different scholars pick a name that they want to start using as a part of their own intellectual property. So the name itself doesn't really matter. I just use it because that's what most people are familiar with. So type 1, these are really principled, purposeful, self-controlled, very detail-oriented. You want them on your team if you're a business owner, and you definitely want them in your finance department. Really, really, really focus on that. Type 2s, these are heart types, very focused on relationships. They really, really, really want to make sure they're have good relationships, and they don't have any needs, but they're very focused on yours. So they're called the helper. The achiever, these are the people if you work with or you have them in your life that will get everything done way in advance. Will take way too many projects on, and they are super success oriented. They probably have every trophy they've ever won somewhere in the house, most likely displayed. These are the doctors that have all their stuff on the wall framed very expensively. So achievers. The individualist, you can really see the individualist. It's very artistic people, have also a heart type, spend a lot of time in emotions and often spend a lot of time in melancholy. So if you have some folks, you're just like, they're down all the time, they're probably a 4, and they probably have a great collection of hats or funky scarves, or they tend to really try to express themselves in either their art or themselves as art. So these are, I like 4s. They really tend to be intense people, and I'm an intense person type 2, so that works great. 5, the investigator. These are your thinkers. These are, hey, I'm going to read 3 books on how to rebuild the transmission in my car, and then I'm going to be expert at it. They're also very emotionally detached because they are up here thinking about stuff all the time. Very tough to get. They're very concerned about conserving their energy. The type 5s, or the investigators or thinkers. The type 6, the loyalist. These guys have a very unique relationship with fear. This is. They also a very loyal group of people, but tend to be pretty anxious because they are thinking about every darn thing that could go wrong. They're like, that could go wrong, and that could go wrong, and that could go wrong, and that could go wrong. And they're probably right. Napoleon Hill called these people wet blanket men. And he said, you have to have a wet blanket man on your team. You just have to. They're going to help keep you from driving off the cliff. The enthusiast, so much fun to be around. This is also called a be happy adventurer. Very quick-minded people, can digest connections between people and things, and they have 100 tabs open on their search engine. Like to keep their options open, do not like to be told what to do or that they need to be on a schedule. They want to be able to go where they want, when they want, and it all better be fun because we are running from our negative emotions. Not interested in that. The challenger, these are very powerful, also called the boss, a very self-confident and charming person that can also be pretty dominating in the lower aspects of it. But these folks they have an idea, they know the truth, and they get into motion that second. They're not really worried about leader. A lot of CEOs are these. They're going to make a decision that feels right for them. Probably not going to listen to a lot of ideas if they haven't done some growth work. So that's the challenger. And then 9, the peacemaker. Exactly what that says. Peacemaker. Keep the peace. Do not. You can usually spot a peacemaker if you ask them what they want for dinner, and they'll ask what you want. They will answer your question with a question because they do not want to pick the wrong thing and cause a conflict. So this can be really hard. This can be really hard for them to actually get into motion because they're afraid of doing the wrong thing. Okay, so that's a quick little overview of these types. Again, pick one, or if you go, oh, well, maybe I'm this one now, that's fine too. So the fun thing about speaking in this group is I can break the Enneagram form down. And Eileen or someone that was here, the other Enneagram, did your presenter break these things down?
Oh, it's very different.
Okay. All right. So know that this is ancient wisdom. This has, so I love to break this ancient tool down. Some writers and some Enneagram theorists believe that Old Testament tribes used the Enneagram and used it as a symbol to hold ancient wisdom, much like people think Atlantans put information into crystals, into the plates of crystals. So similar way to capture ancient wisdom. I have a teacher who takes a trip to Egypt every 2 years and shows you where the Enneagram symbol is in the pyramids. So some people believe that it came from Atlantis through an Egyptian god named Thoth. Some people believe it's ancient tribes, ancient Old Testament tribes. I don't know. I just think there's just amazing spiritual applications here. So on the far left is circle, law of one. Everything begins and returns to unity. Essence is the source, which all of these Enneagram types, because they're all a point on the circle, all types rise as we work on transformation. We are transmuting our type, but since we're all connected here, we can have access to all these types, which we'll talk about when we do passions and virtues in a second. Second one in the triangle is the law of three. That is mind, body, spirit. That is the Holy Trinity here. So for my 3, 6s, and 9s in the group, you guys are not only Enneagram types, you're points, your developmental points on the Enneagram. So in the Enneagram literature, we call it active, passive, and reconciling. And it relates to each of the 3, 6, 9 type. It is a way to actually access essence. So that's the Enneagram Trinity. The other one, this hexad over on the far right, is law of 7. And this follows a non-linear path, and the law governs the inner flow of the energy of essence. So it's 1, 4, 2, 8, 5, and 7. So I'm not going to tell you which ones. I'm just trying to say that within this one symbol, you put them together and you get the Enneagram symbol that you might be familiar with. The other thing to think about here is, and I think you all are ready for it, is the Enneagram think of it as a sphere, as a globe. And the image of the circle with 9 types around it is the equator. And what you're doing is, we go up that spiral of growth. Think about it as a 3-dimensional. If that resonated with you, keep it. If it didn't, let it out, and we'll talk about it in Q&A if you want. So let me do this. There we go. So here's the part of that spiral. So I'm with most of my Enneagram work, I'm going straight into application. I figure you can learn the things you need to learn along the way, but knowing your type for some people is the beginning and the end of the journey. Okay, it's usually to excuse bad behavior. So if I'm an Enneagram 1 and I'm in my case, if it's I'm a sexual dominant or a 1-to-1 dominant, and I have a really short fuse and I yell at people, I go, well, I'm an Enneagram 1. What am I supposed to do? And that's just who I am. Deal with it. And knowing your type, once you figure out what it is, some people go, definitely this one. I was a type. I lived 10 years as the wrong type. And I was like, I don't know. This one, because I was my therapist had said, this is what you are. I was like, I don't think I am. The motivation behind the extroversion and some of the other things that the group had told me that made me a particular type. I was like, nah, I'm not trying to get an atta girl. So they were trying to tell me I was a 3. I was like, no. And then when I found the right type, I was like, I don't want to be that. I was like, there's no way I'm that number. Jen Donnelly goes, oh yeah. So if you were uncomfortable, mad, you don't know me, and you threw the book down or threw down the piece of paper and said, it's not right, it doesn't know me, it's probably the right type. Because we should be a little uncomfortable by looking at some of our dirty stuff. And usually understanding your type is where you go, dang it, I do that. If I'm really being honest with myself, I did go into rooms and try to possess everyone's attention. It's a good thing I speak for a living because it appeals to my 8 that is a sexual dominant 8. Because before I did work on it, I would go into a room and go energetically. Everybody get pushed up against the end of the room because I'm possessing all of your attention. So, and I was like, I don't want to be that because they're angry and bossy and blah, blah, blah. And my husband goes, Maybe you might want to look at it. So knowing your type, step one. And what we're going to do in a second is go over the passions and the virtues, and then we'll have a little workshop on that. So the goal here is identifying the passion, the virtue, and where you have a blind spot between those is where the work begins. That's this self-awareness part. Then your integration, and then that's all you're doing between you and essence is trying to get the stuff that's keeping you from it. Cleaning up ego pieces that where you're like, you know what, I am the boss, I am in charge. And then you get a little humbled by life and you go, you know what, maybe I'm not in charge. Maybe I need to integrate. For me, mine is a virtue of innocence. Okay. So the knowing the type is step one. If you choose to accept that there's some work to be done, that's but again, if we're knowing our type, that is still our unformed prefrontal cortex that is developing that personality and that operating system. Okay. So we're going up a spiral, and all of these are points on the Enneagram as we go up. Okay. So let's get to some meat stuff. For those of you that know your type, I think that's most of you. Let's take a look. Starts up here at the top at 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can count. You're all nice, very intelligent people. So on the left is the passion, and we'll go into some, if we need to, I'll go into some definitions of that, but it's one that most people are familiar with. And later for the virtue, I have definitions and what blind spot might be showing up there.
Hey, Joanna, can I ask you a question quick?
Sure.
Could you, you've got the numbers up there on the, could you name again the 1 through 9? Just name so I can, because I thought I was a 4 and I still think I am, but I just want to make sure that.
Okay. Thank you. I thought I had changed it, but I did not. So I appreciate that. So it is type 1, perfectionist, 4, helper, 3, achiever, 4, individualist. These folks are really focused on being authentic and unique and being seen as unique, if that resonates with you. Investigator 5, a head type. Think. Type 6, the loyalist. These people know where the emergency exit is. If I ever get stranded on a desert island, I want to be with a female type 6 because she's going to have a big old purse, and she's going to have a first aid kit in there, a granola bar, because you don't know when you're going to eat again. So my aunt is a 6. Like I'm like, how do you even carry that purse? It's like so big, but they're ready for every single possible thing that could go wrong because they don't want to be caught unprepared. Enthusiast is a be happy adventurer. They're always moving, always want to have a good time, do not want to have bad feelings. They're maybe when you ask them to go to a party is a hot no because they are keeping their options open and they'll make that decision that day. Challenger, boss, a CEO can be very aggressive or powerful, charming too. Does that help? Okay. Anybody else need some help going over those? And I thank you very much for that. I did change it on my presentation for Monday, but not in here. Okay. So let's talk real quick about passions, and then we're going to do a workshop. So if I'm an Enneagram 1, I have some challenges with anger. I came in as a serene kiddo, and by whatever at 3, 4, 5, my operating system to get what I need, I have a very unique relationship with anger. Depending on what type of 1 you are, my teaching believes in subtypes. It will either leak out the bottom of the croissant, or it will come at you pretty aggressive, but really have and it's not right to be angry is usually how it is. And that can be a real challenge for female ones is it's not okay to be angry. It's not, especially women in the South. That one can be tough. So 2's pride. I don't know. We need to spend a lot of time with that, but it's, I'm such a good person and look how much I care for other people, right? A lot of this, remember, is unconscious. We were doing this. 3, it's deceit. It's not that they're necessarily lying to others. It's mostly to self. 2s and 3s tend to shift who they are to make sure that whoever they're speaking with or they're dealing with knows that they're successful, because they may not feel that on the inside. So 3s tend to keep very, very busy because they're also outrunning their emotions. 7s and 3s just don't want to deal with it. They keep in motion and keep busy. 4s, it's envy. It's comparing one to the other, which is on our darker side. And where we're going as a 4 is, I am enough. I am just fine. I am unique in just being who I am. I'm looking for some equanimity as a 4. That's my journey as a 4. 5, it's avarice here, but it's really more like stinginess. A 5 will calculate. My husband is a 5. He calculates his resources. If we're going out to see people, he goes, how long are we going to be at dinner? Are we going to go for dessert? Are we going to go for a drink later? He's calculating on his head. He looks at his energy as finite, and he doesn't want one person to get too much of it. And so as a 5, what we're looking for is just non-attachment to people wanting some of our energy. We're just going to allow that to happen. We'll talk about, have some more examples of that. 6, fear. All 3 of the 6s, it's fight, flight, or freeze. They can look very different. And where we're headed there is courage, is to, because I have a woman I'm working with on a new project, and she's just so afraid of getting on camera. And I'm like, it's fine. We'll just do it. We'll figure out as we go along. And she is absolutely frozen on the project. She's the right person for me because I can pull her forward and she can keep me from driving off a cliff. So we're a good match, and we'll work through it. But her antidote, we've been talking, because she's an Enneagram professional. I'm like, courage, 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 courage. Okay. 7s, it's gluttony. It's excess. It's not necessarily just food, but it is, we might spend too much money when we don't have enough money. So sometimes 7s, the gluttony can sometimes come up as a debt experience, and also be too many, I don't know, dogs. I mean, it's just some sort of excess, too many hamsters. I don't know what people collect these days. And 8s, it's lust. It is not necessarily a physical sexual lust. It is too much energy, too many words, too much. And a lot of 8s are called, the feedback they get is they're just too much. They're too much, too confrontational, too. And where they're headed is a place of innocence, and not necessarily like a lamb, but it's a baby that gets a shot and then it cries for a little bit and then it forgot it got a shot. Most 8s will sit there and go, I bet that doctor meant to hurt me. I hope, you know what? Karma is a BITCH. Karma's going to get this person because they hurt me. Right. That's how the lust and the excess will show up. And the innocence is the antidote to that. 9 is sloth. And this is exactly what it seems. It is inaction. My sister is a 9, and she's a self-preservation 9. She spends a lot of time playing Candy Crush. That is her absolute go-to. She is numbing out her day, numbing out whatever is happening because there was too much conflict. She's in a conflict-ridden work environment, and we try to get her on the phone. She doesn't answer the phone at night because she's sitting there still depugging. Okay, so that's how sloth shows up. I have I have a very good friend who was helping me with my Enneagram business. She found out she was 9. She read the description. She goes, I go, do you want to talk about it anymore? She goes, no. She was really, I was like, oh, that's a very 9 who doesn't, peacemaker, doesn't want to have any conflict. And the growth opportunity for 9s is taking right action because it's hard for them to get into motion. Okay. How'd we do, Smith? Did we connect some of those dots?
Absolutely. Help
Okay.
me. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the thing is, though, just like what you said originally, maybe you see yourself as, well, like, maybe I want to be that. I think I'm that, and then there's, like, to your point of, I don't want to be that, but maybe that is what you are. And so I'm now split between like a 2 and a 4, and the pride and humility is one of the things. So anyhow, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Okay. And I'll talk about all that. Did talk about all that. All right. So let's get on. So I'm going to turn some music on here in a minute, and I'll plop this. I'll put the 2 exercises in the chat. So we're going to spend 5 minutes or so. We're doing okay on time. 5 minutes on your passion. All right. And if you don't want to go there, you can file your nails or paint your toenails if you don't want to do it. But recapping your passion is, what is this passion? So mine is lust. So what is my story? What is the story that lust tells me? So for an Enneagram 1, you have to be perfect. 2s, oh, I need to be needed. This could be for another, but probably for a 6, I can't trust others. In mine, I cannot be vulnerable. No way could I possibly be seen. I must be powerful. Would be it for an 8. For those of you, is probably it for an 8. So you can pick what it is for you. You may have done some work around it. And then we're going to think about, how has that story shaped my life or relationships? So what has gluttony done? If I'm too much, am I in credit card debt? Do I have too many recliners? I don't know what it is for you. I eat too many croissants. Boy, I'm really in a croissant mood today. So I'll take care of that after this. But like for me, lust, I have a pack. I buy way too many books. I have a stack of books over here. It shows up as lust. I told you about my energetic going into a room before I really understood what that energetic power was. So what has been, not, again, we're not going to fix it. We're just noticing. Self-awareness is, or self-reflection is the first step in anything, and it can be enough for transformative change. And then, what does that story protect me from feeling?
Mm.
Yeah. So if I'm accessing energy and I have to be powerful, it is keeping me from feeling weak. Like a 3, 4, 5-year-old that didn't understand what those adults and the people that were caring for me were doing. I didn't know. You didn't know. So we're just going to spend some time in that. Is everybody clear what their passion is?
I'm trying to pick one.
Okay. All right. So let me just
a picture. I just took a picture of this slide with my phone.
But I think
it's a great idea.
Yeah. I think it's good to put what you want, the 3 questions.
There we go. Okay. That's fun. Okay, now I'm gonna play some music, and let's just take some time to do a little bit of a reflection practice. So you're seeing the 3 questions up there now and not my notes? Or
yeah, we're seeing the 3 questions, but I thought you were going to put the Enneagram up.
Yes, I'm going to go back. I just wanted to confirm I had the right thing going up. Okay, so let me get here.
I'm going to make some hard choices on that.
I'm having a lot of fun opening all kinds of things. There we go. So there's that. And let's get back to it. Here we go. And music. Let's come back together. And I know we're going to have Q&A at the end, but I just wanted to pause to see if anybody, this process of using the Enneagram for transformational work is, and in my coaching, I talk a lot about creating the pause. You'll hear about that in emotional intelligence for those of you that are in the corporate world. It's catching yourself in the act. And so that self-observation for clients who are interested in going deep with the Enneagram, they may spend the first month or so with us, with me, identifying where they see lust in their life, or fear, or gluttony, or stinginess, or envy, or deceit, or pride, or anger, or sloth. That in and of itself is a very courageous thing to do, to turn the camera back around and look at yourself. And that seeing where that shows up can be hard. So I want to make sure everybody's okay on that. And if we needed to talk about anything, I just wanted to hold some space for that. We feeling okay? Anybody need to share it or would like to share something?
I'll share. I don't mind. And I'll let anybody else too. I'm looking for hands up on the chat thing. So if anybody wants to go first, they can. I'll go after you. Eileen.
Well, and Smith, you could have gone before me, but I'll go anyway.
Ladies first.
So number 2 here. All right. And what was really interesting, even from the moment you said, what does that story protect me from feeling? Right. And I started to well up with tears. Like it is the feeling of being irrelevant, right? Like if I can't help people and I can't take pride in being that person who's always there for everybody, then I'm irrelevant in this world, right? And that it was like, holy shit. Pardon me, like it just hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just had to say that because it like I've listened to a lot of talks on Enneagram and I've never had that reaction to this, right? So that was pretty powerful.
Good. I'm glad. And I'm sorry that it was jarring, and I'm glad.
Yeah. Oh, I am too. I am too. Because I've been doing this long enough to know that, you need that every once in a while.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
I've known I was a 2 for years, and I'm sitting here crying. Well, also she's my friend, but yeah, I mean, if they don't need me, and are they going to want me in their life anymore?
Right.
And it's just it's hard. So then we strive to make sure they need us, which isn't always great.
Isn't always great.
Yeah.
And the journey for 2s is that irrelevant, but there's an even deeper of, if I don't take care of all of these people and I don't serve their needs, by the way, I'm not going to tell you what my needs are because you're going to need to figure them out, because why should I have to tell you my needs? I know what yours are. And there can be some anger underneath that. Is, the hard thing is, if I don't do this, then I won't be loved. It's a proving to myself that I am lovable and loved.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's so much compassion that comes up for me. I'm related to 2s, but in that journey into loving yourself and knowing that. So I'll hold that. Thank you both for sharing.
Yeah, that's great.
I saw Whitney. Whitney, your hand was up, and then Catherine.
Hey guys, this is Whitney. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Enneagram, but from what I have done, I do believe I'm a 7. And it's funny because with Eileen, you talking, and also Joanne, you guys talking about these feelings with being a number 2, I'm sitting here thinking like, well, is it an inadequate feeling? But I guess the way I identified it was with these questions. And this is really like an introspective look here. Feeling like, for number one, I am not enough. And number two, I said, I try to be many things for that person, whether it's my friends or a relationship. And I will say I have too many possessions. And those are like very clear when it comes to gluttony and you explaining those things out. But being many things for people, that involves like being a parent, being a teacher, being the motivator, being the one who, I'm like the Ask Jeeves. Like if you don't know something, if you ask me, I will look it up and find the answer. And if I can't find the answer, I will tell you what I was able to find. And I'll say, I want to keep on looking because I want to know myself. So in the future, if it ever happens again, I know now. It's crazy. But number three, I said, I think it protects me from feeling inadequate in a way, and also maybe the pain of other people's disappointment. And I think from growing up, like that's the one thing I can say has always been able to get to me. If I ever felt like I disappointed my parent in a way, like that was one thing that was like a motivator, or, it deterred me from doing anything, just seeing the look of disappointment, never like not even verbalized, just if I felt like I let someone down or, didn't live up to something or didn't, do what was right, I can kind of see those things now. But yeah, so that was quite a little exercise. Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing. And Whitney, I have a client who's a 7, and she was trying to figure out if between a 7 and a 2, and those usually don't look alike. There's one subtype that looks alike, but I said, she couldn't sit down, like she was coming in hot late, and she needed to open the door, and then the cat needed something, and I go, you're a 7. She's really scattered, had a lot of things. She had overbooked her time that day and every day. I said, is every day like this? And she goes, yeah, pretty much. I said, you're not a 2.
I think if I, like I said, it doesn't even like phase me too much. Yeah. It's just saying that last part, I was like, am I a 2? But no, I think I'm very clearly a 7 when it comes to avoiding painful things. I'm always out and about doing stuff. I do not make commitments to things because I am a last minute. I travel home with a passport, like most of the time wherever I go, just in case I decide to go somewhere, And
oh my gosh.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I love it so much.
A 7.
Yeah, definitely a 7. I love
Thank
it.
You.
Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. Can't see all the hands.
Yeah, Catherine's next.
Catherine.
Okay. Hi.
Oh,
And
Catherine,
you're muted, Catherine.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I'm hearing other people, I know what I am. I've been this all my life, a perfectionist. But when I think about my answer to what it prevents you from feeling, and then I hear everybody else's, they're very they come down to that core to me of not, of, where I had said maybe the word is unworthy, or not loved. But then I'm hearing everybody saying not enough, irrelevant, not needed, making others disappointed. And I just feel like those low feelings, those those not worthy emotions are all very similar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think they are, Catherine, I think they are very similar, but like when Whitney said, and I forgot what you said actually, when you said not enough, I think it was, or like you said, not worthy, like that was not my go-to. Like I feel very worthy, but if I can't help somebody, I do feel irrelevant, right? Like I am like my life has no meaning, which is different than not being worthy. Because I feel worthy, like I feel worthy, but also I want my life to have more meaning, and the only way it has meaning is if I help everybody, right?
Right.
So,
Oh, that's a really good point, Eileen. I appreciate that because to me, it all seemed like, because a lot of those things would relate to me not doing something perfectly.
Mhm.
But like I know more consciously, having done a lot of self-work, I know that the there were situations of survival in my family that made me have to do it right.
Yeah.
And
I think,
and that I needed to be loved to do it right, or
right.
safe I had to do it right to be safe, to be worthy of love, to all of those things. I had to do it right. Now I say those things subconsciously, but I have this higher view too, that you know that I came into this world with all of that baggage, and that it then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, that it causes me to take on too much, and because I don't feel like other people can do it right, or they disappoint me, or I can't depend on them to do it right. You know what I mean? Those kinds of things. And I was like, well, that's just a self-fulfilling prophecy, too, because I'm projecting that on to those people. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of, I think there is specificity, but there's also that kind of underlying.
Well, I think, Joanna, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, that's why it's on a circle, right? I mean, there's a relevant to, we're all related. We have
Yeah.
a bit of each of it, each of the numbers in us. It's just what do you like, what's your primary, right? And because I'm sure,
It's
Joanna, if you went into subtypes, it would be, there
yeah,
would be more.
absolutely. And think about it, about just getting some balance,
Hmm.
right? This if I'll just take I'm an 8 and my subtype is 1-to-1 or sexual, and my teachers have been having me work on my self-preservation, which is more about getting material needs met, shelter, food, clothes, things like that. And the way that the 1-to-1, for those of you who know that instinct, um, you probably did some dangerous things as a kid. There's a level of intensity with that subtype. I don't want to go too much into those, but if you're talking about an operating system that developed when you were 3, 4, 5, and I do believe, my personal opinion is, we come in with our type and subtype. Not everybody believes that. I'm like, I came in this way, rebelling. I came in with all of those things. And I know it's because my soul needed to do a specific type of healing.
Hmm.
And some days I'm like, can I just go back to sleep? Because this growth stuff is hard. I did not want to look at why I didn't want to feel vulnerable and weak. Ooh, or why I didn't want to look at why I need to be right, or why I need to give externally so I can feel internally loved. Like, why don't I feel that way anyway? And the reason that some of those words that we all use are the same is because at 3, 4, 5, what do we need? We need to be loved. We need to be valued. We need to be acknowledged. And we didn't all get that.
Mhm.
We wouldn't be in this room if we were like, pie in the sky, I'm amazing. Although we may have a self-preservation 7, if Whitney isn't the only 7 who is like, my childhood was awesome.
If you ask me, I have literally said, I feel like I lived a Disney childhood. Like, oh my
Sorry
God.
to call you out, Whitney, but it's definitely very 7 thing.
Okay. I have to evaluate that then. Okay.
It's a very 7 thing to go, everything, because it's nothing's bad, nothing's wrong. Okay, so that's it. But anyway, the reason some of those words that different types use is because at the basic, we're a wounded child somewhere, 3, 4, 5, because we didn't have the reasoning. And I see hands up, but I wasn't sure who's for. I'll let you all work it out.
I'll go, and then I'll let Carol go, and I'll try to be quick. Looking at the chart, and I love what everybody said. It actually brought more light to my self-evaluation. But wanted to be a 4 because I do have some of the 4, the individualists, and I looked at the 2 when you were putting up the humility and pride, and I was like, well, you said there's things you probably don't want is probably more of what you are. And then you use the word lust, which when I hear the word lust, you can lust about a lot of things. I think one of the meanings that comes to my mind is sexual, lust, but you can lust about a lot of things. And so with that in mind, I decided, I said, yeah, I want to be a 4, but I'm more like a 2. So with that in mind, so I needed to be, and I wrote this for myself, but I actually heard some of myself in other people's explanations. And I used the word as I needed to be regarded as intelligent. But what I feel like after hearing other people is I needed to be needed. And I fear not knowing will cause people not to respect me, or that if they don't need something from me, then nobody will be asking me anything. And so then that the story protects me from being vulnerable and being able to accept help from others. So that's the bigger part of it, is being able to accept help from others, fearing that they will take the respect of me from me.
Yeah, you're right on as a 2. And I will tell you, female 8s in our society, female 8s and male identifying 2s, we go against the norm because 2s have a lot of feelings. They want to be needed. There's a lot of service there. And sometimes we get misunderstood. And with an 8, Sheryl Sandberg wrote a book called Lean In. She wanted to be known as bossy. Hey, she's an 8. And she was trying to normalize being the negative aspects of 8, but 8s should be trying to be more like 2s. That's that soft. 8s that have done a lot of work look really soft. And so that may be also why it may have been difficult for you to find who you were or your type, Smith, is some societal things on top of that. I think Carol was next, and then Betsy, and then we'll move on. Hi, Carol.
Yeah, I just came because I'm a 7.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't say I have had an incredible childhood, although I also would not say I had a terrible childhood. But, my entire family, my birth family, were all like 5s and 3s and maybe 8s, but they were all very, like, our family thing was to be intelligent and logical and unemotional, and and that was not who I was at all. And there was this whole thing in my family where my brothers called me Maria Sanchez and said there was a mix-up at the hospital because their real sister was being raised by some Hispanic family, and they got this crazy, wild, passionate.
Because you were so different from them.
I was so different from them. And my brothers had this whole thing. It wasn't so much my parents, it was my brothers who were like the crossway. And the crossway was all logical and shut down and unemotional. And
were you more emotional than them?
Oh,
no. Okay. All right.
Yes. I was totally more emotional. I was 7. I was fun and exuberant and passionate and creative, and I'm not saying they aren't creative in their ways.
Sure.
But it was certainly not I was certainly not a 7 who said my childhood was fantastic. Looking.
You may want to look at 4, by the way, just in case, if you're saying so outgoing, but they are much more in touch with feelings, and can be called emotional. I don't know if that word was used to describe you, but just something for you to think about. It's your journey and your choice.
Yes. No, I know I'm a 7.
Okay, great. I don't know you. We're just talking right now. So that,
but I do have that kind of, and that's some of those things is what came up with me is like, what would be the worst? Oh, I'd be boring. I do.
You're a 7. So that's
Yeah.
no
I mean,
other type would say that. I don't think as their fear.
so, you know, but so it's just another, like I'm but I also, what I would say, and this is one of the things I say in my businesses and such, is that the blessing was I learned, I'm like this really right-brained person, but I learned how to live in a left-brain world because my family was also left-brained. And so I still see it as a gift
Sure.
because I, more than a lot of people can,
Go between.
right, I can.
Yeah. And as we started, there's nothing for us to fix. All we're trying to do is to evoke some awareness for potentially some work that we need to do. And I've got one more exercise when we'll do the virtue. So I'm interested to hear what you have that. Before I move on, Betsy, did you have some feedback or share? Hi.
Sure. Hi. Yes. Well, I'm I'm a body and belief code practitioner, and so it's interesting because I deal with, of course, trapped emotions. That's what I and but I thought at first I was a 4, an individualist, but then I got my pendulum and it said no, 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 I was a 6. I mean, it was very just tell me that I was a 6. So I started looking at it, and I said, I mean, I totally trust my pendulum. It's going to tell me what I need to know, and
Sure.
I got a negative on and everything, but it looks like I'm a 6, but I have a strong 4 going too. In other words, I'm less strong, and my question is, is it possible to bridge 2 different types like that?
Anything is possible, and sometimes it's hard for people who have done a lot of personal growth work. I can't remember if I said it in this group or another one, but I have a woman in my Enneagram accountability group. We're all working professionals in the Enneagram group, which can be hard to still do your own work. There's a woman in there who wrote a book about her journey as every single type. She said, and I think that means she's a 4 because that's very unique to not have a type. But I lived 10 years as a 3. I wasn't a 3. I was actually, an Enneagram 8 with a sexual subtype. I think there's just different ways things can show up. And you take an assessment, it's a day, you had a really good day, you're in a super good mood, and it comes out as XYZ. Or you did some personal growth work. I have a client who lived her life, the majority of her life, as a 2. She had this, she went to the Omega Institute and had this healing there, and is like, I'm a 7. And I'm like, you've probably always been a 7, but there was some emotional code. Maybe you had a parent who was a 2, maybe you had a parent who was a 4, and then the expectation was to behave a certain way. So I think you're in this case, a 6 and a 4 don't usually go together. It's either a misidentification or someone in the family with a strong personality was that type and may have driven the piece there.
Okay, because I do know that when I was looking at the passions, and I said, okay, I'm a 6, and it was fear, and it was like, okay, well, my fear is that I'm afraid of failure because I was raised by a very critical mother who I could never, she never gave me any positive reinforcement or nurturing. It was always, I was always she was raised by a Victorian mother, so that was all she knew. And then when I was 6, she got sick, and so they put me into a boarding school at age 6, if you can imagine. But I'd come home every weekend, so that meant that every single Monday I would go back to the boarding school. It was a Catholic school in San Antonio, and I was the only 6-year-old. The next oldest were seventh and eighth grade.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you talk about getting dumped. I mean, abandoned, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it it lasted for, I don't know, 6 weeks, 2 months. I'm not sure how long. It
Yeah.
was a recovered memory that I recently had, but
Pivotal.
it made me, I mean, I've been thinking about it, it gave me a lot of self-doubt, how the story shaped my life. And because I was always criticized growing up, I never was close to my mother after. I didn't ever trust her. When she came back home, I completely lost all my trust in her. So we were never close. She was my caretaker, and that was it until she
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
And
That loyalist piece, if you're 6, it's that being abandoned or
Right,
dumped, as
right.
you use, is a 6s are very contrarian typically,
Okay,
and tend to not trust very easily. And you better show me that I can trust you, and then I'll trust you. And even then, you're on probation.
right. Yeah.
And you probably know where all the exits are. Do you have do you keep it in your car? Are you prepared for a snowstorm, hailstorm?
Yeah.
You have
Well, yeah,
you have it in your house, a packed
Yeah.
bag in case there's a tornado and you have to go to a shelter or the power goes out. It's like prep, usually prep stuff. I'm just okay.
Yeah, but it's just, and yeah, I am a little bit like that, but I do know that it does hold me back from relationships, and always has,
Yeah.
and then of course, what does this story protect me from feeling? And it's because it protects me from feeling like I'm a failure, because then from feeling like I'm like what my mother uh, made me feel when growing up,
Yeah.
that I never could do anything right, so therefore I must be a failure. So
Yeah.
I know a
That
lot of people in my generation that had mothers like that. A lot of my friends had, and it was because of the way they were raised, and they weren't nurtured, and they were criticized. Should be seen and not heard, and be the keep don't ever express your opinion and that sort of thing. And it has a huge effect, and so anyway, but that's me.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hey,
Well, I'm going to do.
can I mention something real quick? Because of the time, and I want to make it better. It's 8:20, and we usually take a break about 8:24, 25 for about 5 minutes for a bio break, get another drink, get another cup of coffee, whatever. Then come back at 8:30. Now, you said you had another exercise for us. I would like to open up the time after a break about 8:25 to spill over into some of that question and answer time up until whatever we need to, as I think there's more value to your exercises, and we're still getting some conversation and Q&A. So I think it's all together.
That works for me. I mean, so do what you normally do on a break, and I will distill what I feel like will be the most valuable in the last minutes together. How about that?
Okay. Do we want to? You've got a few more minutes. Do you want to wait till 8:24, or do you want to do it now? Take a break.
I think we might as well just do it now, if that's okay with you guys, and we'll just come back at your whatever the normal time is.
What do you like to? Okay. I don't know. My phone's talking to me for some reason. But yeah, let's take a break, folks, for about 5 minutes. So it's 8:21. We'll come back at 8:26. We'll get into the next exercise. We'll try to reserve a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes or so before 9 o'clock. We can go over 9 o'clock, but we don't want to go till 10 or 11 o'clock. I mean, nobody wants to do that. So that's just too long. That's too much good stuff, right? Then got to digest it a little bit. So if that's okay, let's go ahead and take that break, and then we'll come back.
Perfect.
Looks like we're back at 8:29, so we're going to let Joanna take back over.
Hey, great. Appreciate the break. Got me. Oh, I have to have some ginger tea when I'm all done. It's a lot of talking. So as I mentioned, just doing that awareness around your passion and what it's trying to avoid, that's already deep work. So if you are like, I'm emotionally spent, I don't want to do this, that's okay. So we're going to talk about the passion. Remember, we came in with our virtue. it distorted into a passion to help us survive, help us to get something or avoid something to make sure that we survived. Every type has a blind spot. Everybody's got their work to do. So let's just give a minute. I see Eileen leaning forward. I know it's small font, but if I need to read some of those, I definitely will. So we'll talk about what this is. So vices, or passions or seven deadly sins, they are marked by a disconnection from essence, a disconnection from self. And it's in a lower vibrational and emotional state. And they're unconscious strategies. And so I'm just reminding you of what some of those are. They're unconscious strategies until we do an exercise like tonight and bring them up. Like you may spend, just fair warning, you may spend the next couple of days going, dang it, there's pride again. Dang it, there's lust again. Dang it, there's gluttony again. Awesome work. If you are uncomfortable over the next 7 days, great. You are healing. You are healing because the only way out is through. And the passions, since they have been around a long time, man, they've been around. We have used them on our operating system for a long time. So just be gentle with yourself. Fair warning on that. If you want to work on virtues, these are something, again, that we came in with before we disconnected from our emotional awareness. So these are authentic descriptors of an authentic self, and they really help us to harness some inner work. I am in the process of trying to embody innocence, and I've been at this for 15 years. And daddy, because I'm like, well, I'm judgmental and I want to plan everything and I want to get everything done. I'm a go-getter, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, no. Innocence doesn't look like that. Innocence is take life as it comes. Do one thing at a time. And so I am vacillating this. So this can be hard work is what I'm saying. I'm a professional. I have my teachers who are going, this is the work you're doing right now. And I'm like, I feel very exposed and weak. So, Smith.
Yes, I just want to say if I'm able to, your screen is divided, so you got your share on one side. If folks are able to grab the middle divider and slide it to the right, you will be able to see the text a little bit.
Yeah, that's better. Yes.
So
I just wanted to mention that. So,
am I sharing two screens?
Yeah, you're sharing your preview and then your share screen, and there's a divider in the middle, and you can make the divider have more presence on the screen. I know I can as the host.
The chat also, and that gave me, now I can see it perfectly.
Okay. Was it because I moved it or did you move it?
No, I think I closed the chat and it got bigger.
I see. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. So here's where we're going. I'm going to start some music and the questions are in the chat. So the questions I'll just read them. What does your virtue want you to remember tonight? Because some of you are probably, and I'll go back to the virtues in a second. Some of you, you're probably meeting this for the first time. Some of you have probably just said, I'm an Enneagram 8, and this is the way I behave, and not looking at it as a way to sort of clear the cobwebs that is keeping you disconnected from going home. Right? So this is probably a new concept for all of you. So I'll just say, what does your virtue want you to remember? And set an intention. How would your life change if you led with your virtue just 1% more? Okay. And there are blind spots on the other page too. So I'll go back to that. Can everybody see that? Okay. So I'm not going to turn music on. I'm just going to let us go because I want to be mindful of time. Or do you feel like the music would be additive? I have access to it. All right, let's come back. And do we want to, you tell me, based on time, combine Q&A and share?
Yes.
Or, okay. All right. So how was that exercise for you all? Anything come up?
Whitney has her hand up.
Yep, there's Whitney.
Yes, almost immediately, because I had a hard time. Okay, I didn't even answer the questions. I had my own questions. So
Okay.
for number 7, for a type 7,
Yes.
I'm asking, what
Sure.
does this mean? And by that I mean, like, when you see the blind spot and this whole thing of avoiding pain and the busyness and sitting in your emotions, I said, what does this mean? Any way you can expound upon passions, or how I can begin to do the work on myself. And then another question was, what does this look like? So, quote, sobriety. I think in a way I have my own, not really my own idea of what it is, because that's the whole thing. I don't have an idea of what it is. So in your professional opinion or expertise, what does sobriety look like? Like, how should this be showing up in my life? If I'm trying to identify things, if I identify gluttony, how do I then say, like, what's the other side of this? So yeah, sitting, like, this whole sitting in your emotions, because I am definitely the type that literally walks away from arguments. Like, I will leave the house, I will go walk the dog, I will go run errands, I will leave the state. Okay, like
Action, 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 action. Keep in motion. Keep in motion. Focus on the future, because that is much better than what it is right now. Whatever, if we're running from something. So sobriety, just for time, I skipped this page, but it is really about gluttony is overdoing, right? In many areas, very much like lust is overdoing and too much. But my exercise for 7s is to very much like 2s on a journey, say no. Don't try to not overcommit, or just, next week, do one less thing, commit to one less thing. It is baby steps, because now that you've seen it, you're going to go, oh, here I am getting busy again. Or look at me, I've got springs in my booty. Or I am taking because, you never know. Somebody may want to fly to Mexico tomorrow. You mentioned your passports. So it is really, for 7s, it is about really trying to get present. And in sobriety, it is doing less things. So that's how it can start for you. Does that make sense? Does that help?
Yes. And okay. I can even
it probably sounds
things.
horrible to you. It probably sounds horrible.
No, because, when you can look at yourself and say, you know what, I do, like my friend literally said, I think you like helping people. I said, I do like helping people, but I can also say that I overextend myself. Like, and she started laughing. So I can definitely see that I do, but in the moment, it doesn't feel like it until later on, so.
Yeah. You may want to look, we didn't talk about subtypes tonight, but you may want to look at social 7 for you. It tends to be a little more focused on helping others, very altruistic 7s, but they keep themselves very, very busy in the service of others most often.
All right, so thank you.
Look at that. You bet. Good luck.
Okay, Eileen, and then it looks like Carol.
So again, number 2, right? And it's learning to kind of feel value without helping people, right? Just knowing that I am enough, and I'm relevant and the whole bit, right? And part of the practice was saying no. So it's interesting though, and I thought it was just because, well, I've done a lot of work on myself, but also because I'm older, right? So I kept saying, well, I'm older now. I don't have to prove myself. I'm going to say no. I don't have to be the person to do everything, right? Or volunteer for everything. So what I was going to ask you is, does that happen naturally, or does it happen because of the work I've done on myself? And I don't even know if you could answer that, but I always just thought it was because I was getting older and tired. I can't do as much anymore. It's just going to have to be enough.
Yeah, I think it is. But then you have not to stir things up politically, but we have a president who's a certain age, who is an Enneagram 8, not on a growth path. And I don't know that he has, and he's a sexual dominant. And as for that one, I'm like, but I've done a lot of work on myself. I'm nice and not trying to terrorize the world. So it is, it can be age, but if your ego is, I just recently dissolved a friendship with a woman who is a sexual 1 because I got tired of being zinked and zonked and criticized. I was like, what are we doing here? You say you're on a growth path and I'm on defense all the time? No, thank you. Like, we don't need to be friends anymore. So it can be both, but sometimes the ego is so entrenched that we can be 80 and still be a jerk.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. And again, I think it probably is a combination of both. Because I have been saying for a long time, I have to stop volunteering and I have to stop offering to help people. And and I didn't, but then I can't, right? So yeah, it's very, very, very interesting. Very interesting.
And it can't, and even if you're, because life's demands, have, just life being life. And so your go-to strategy, but you're probably still going to feel some kind of way about not being able to.
And that's, yeah, and that's more my work. Like I'll say, sorry, I can't help in this instance, but then that I feel bad then, right? It sits like they're, not that they're going to think worse of me, but that there's either missing something or again, I'm not relevant. That's my big thing. I mean, it's, I have my life has no meaning if I can't be there and doing stuff.
Similar work for a 3. I don't know if we have any Enneagram 3s here. Is they're really only as good as their last success. And they don't have a memory of the success before that, except if they have a lot of trophies and stuff behind them. But that's a hard, for the heart types, 2s, 3s, and 4s, that worthiness and earning love is a part of their narrative until they do the work.
Crazy.
I don't know.
I mean, I do think that we come into this world with this, right? I agree with you, Joanna.
Yeah.
But I think it's that we choose this so we can experience the growth, right?
Yeah, I do.
So rather than it comes in, we're setting ourselves up for a challenge. I do think that there's joy in uncovering the growth, right? And discovering the truth about who we are. And I think that that's part of our journey, is to feel that joy.
Beautiful. Love that. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, Carol, it's your turn.
Okay.
Hey, Carol.
So again, I'm a 7, but I feel differently from the other woman who was 7 before. And like this thing that says, practice saying, I need to feel more. I feel like nobody has ever said that to me. People are like, you need to feel less. No, I won't say that. But Eileen knows me, I'm a pretty feeling person, and I tend to feel the good and the bad. And this thing about associates presence with limitation, I'm not sure what that is supposed to mean.
Let me get back over on that page.
Carol, what makes you think because I know we've both taken this, probably the same classes as in the Enneagram. Have you done it recently though? Like have you like determined what number you are recently?
I've done this for years and years and years.
Right. I mean, I think we were in the first class that we took that, that was offered, that we did this together. But because I always thought I was a 3, but 2 is like right on the money for me, right? But when I first did, it was a 3 3 too.
I'm pretty clear I'm a 7.
Okay.
Because I'm all about the experience and the visionary and the what's new and what's fun and and I do have a strong 2 sort of connection. I have a 4 connection, but I really am pretty sure I'm a 7. But I don't even know what that means, associates presence with limitation.
That's the blind spot. So 7s tend to be in motion all the time. Or they're planning for a good time. Definitely do not want to have a bad time. My best friend is a self-preservation 7. You may that if you're feeling a lot, she is like the least empathetic person you've ever met, and she's the chief human resources officer. Like that's how she just sort of stays in motion. She's wonderful to go on vacation with because she wants to put all of the details together. We have 2 or 3 reservations for dinner every time. I'll have 2 Airbnbs, and she'll make the decision on them. She'll know the day that she'll lose her deposit because she doesn't want to have a bad time. So she has a lot of options. And then I have another friend who's a sexual 7. He experiences feeling. Everyone experiences feelings. It is more about the motivation of the staying in motion and staying busy. So if you are present, some icky feelings might creep in if you're not careful. And so that is, and definitely don't want any limits. I gotta have a lot of options. Whitney, that was hilarious. I have my passport with me. Because you never know what I'm going to feel like that day. Lots of options. And that being present may not be fun. Does that help?
Carol, you've also done a lot of work on yourself. I mean,
Yes.
Joanna, she's a CSL practitioner. I mean,
Beautiful.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
she's
done a lot of work.
Yeah, and so it may just be hard. Like there's if you wanted to dig a little deeper into it, there's something called arrow work, and you may be accessing 1 or 5 more than you are 7 these days. Now, neither of those are very emotional types. So it sounds like you're in that space where you can access multiple places and virtues. And that may be where the emotions come from. But most 7s would not say that they are comfortable with emotions. But I'm glad you are. And congratulations on the work.
Well, yes, I thank you. It's it's just I do see sobriety being a thing for me in general because I can be like fireworks and I need to bring it down.
Virtues are uncomfortable. Yeah. So it's
yes, I do. I've had this whole training of being present. So I just I don't associate being present with limitations.
That's not true So take what applies to you and put aside what doesn't serve you or resonate with you. And I would support you doing that. Beautiful.
Can I ask you a quick question to tag along with that?
Sure.
This is Whitney again. So
Whitney.
That's what I was asking. I said, what does this mean? The associate presence with limitation. Does that mean okay, so I had a vacation with my family and I went very last minute. Like I took them to the airport, I booked me a flight and I was there in a couple hours after them. And I was the only one who did not plan to go on the trip. So when I got there, I kind of had a list of what I wanted to do. If anyone else had any, where do you want to go in Vegas? I know what buffet I want to go to. And I realized with my mom, it became she kind of felt like I was kind of taking over, but I was just kind of telling her, well, I'm on this trip. I want to enjoy it. If no one else has any ideas or plans, then I've got something, if you want to tag along for it. But so when you say sit in or associate presence with limitation, does that mean I should just like be in that moment of feeling like, okay, everyone, I'll let you guys figure it out. And I'm just sitting here, I'm just crawling on my skin like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be wasting like 3 to 5 hours. I only have 2 days here. You know what I mean? So I guess
well, that kept you really busy because you got to plan. That's one of the sevens things that they do to keep themselves in motions. They do a lot of planning. Could be it's different for different people. My friend, it shows up as, and she rocks it. It's not a problem for her. Sometimes it's a problem. If it's causing interfamily challenges, then planning can be a problem. I think even before you went on the trip, I think it's interesting that you decided to go last minute. FOMO for sevens is a real thing. And I'm wondering if you went on the trip because you didn't want them to have a really good time and you not be there to either plan it or have a part of it. That would be not have gone, would have been probably sitting in presence.
Okay. I can expand really quickly on it. So my dad had a game in Vegas. I did know about it. I did not realize that they had a layover in Dallas, which is where I live. So I met up with them for the layover, hung out with them for about 3 hours, was taking them back to the airport, my dad and my brother. And my brother's like, Whitney, what you doing? You want to come to Vegas? And I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything else this weekend. I called my neighbor, said, hey, can you watch Benji for me for the weekend? And like I said, took them to the airport, came back, packed a weekend bag, and then got myself to the airport. So I really don't know.
Yeah, and it's for you to decide. I have a coaching friend who wanted me to do Enneagram coaching with her. She knew what it was, and she's an HR director for a professional baseball team. And she dating must be an absolute saint of a man because she takes calls 24 hours a day because they're traveling and they're doing practice and so she answers the phone in the middle of dinner. If the phone rang during her wedding, she'd probably pick the phone up. It's a problem in her relationship how available she is to the Milwaukee Brewers management and players. That's when you would want to look at it and go, how can I embrace sobriety in this situation? How can I be comfortable in the present moment? It's when it starts causing some problems. I went to a high school reunion and I didn't understand why the girls didn't talk to me. And that's because it turns out I was the bully. I was the mean girl. And I always thought they were mean to me and I'm so mistreated. And I went straight to my therapist when I got back into town. I was like, I need to unpack this. It was a problem at one point in my life. It's okay now, done a lot of work on it. But being aware of it and going, okay, they asked me to go, but there was some FOMO there probably. And I may not have wanted to miss out. And maybe I could have stayed home and not had that exciting experience. But I went and had that exciting experience because I know how to plan at the last minute and I pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
You get to decide if it's a problem or not. If you're getting feedback that you're being too busy is a problem, then that may be something you want to look at.
Okay. And like I said, I'll try to figure out how that correlates to kind of like my life because I'm not big on the phone. I hate answering my phone. But I can look and see other ways that
sure
be
showing up. Absolutely manifests differently for different people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're coming up on 9 o'clock, but I want to let Jane go, and we're going to go over 9 in a few minutes. Probably we'll be done wrapping up about 9:10 or something like that. But let's give her time. I want to give you time, Jane, and if there's a little bit of time, I might add to my experience. But yours is more. I would feel honored if you'd go first.
Oh, well, thanks so much. Am I on?
Hi,
yes.
Jane. Yes.
Oh, hey. First of all, I apologize. I missed so much of the presentation because I just had to take an emergency phone call. But
Oh,
and this is a question, it may not be related, and you can just say something that you don't want to get into this, but as far as wings go, I am, with our wings, is it we can have like I feel like I know my main number, but I don't really match up with either of the wings. And
right.
can we be like so like unaware of certain when it comes to the wings, so like we just don't see these things, or I don't
Yeah.
know.
So here's my school. If any of you are interested in, I put up some free resources that I have, and one of them is an Enneagram tool. I also have an assessment test that I would assessment and then a 90-minute debrief with me that I can figure out how to get to you. And when I originally talked to Eileen about it, it was $199. And I have since changed the pricing on that based on feedback from the marketplace. So for $99, if we can do an Enneagram Compass assessment for you, and I'll do a 90-minute debrief. And in that, there's some talk about wings and some talk about arrow work. So my school is CP Charlie Peanut Enneagram.com. Lots of free resources there. And they have if you're interested in digging in a little bit more, they have a podcast called Enneagram 2.0. Like, amazing. But they talk about the importance of subtypes, meaning there's a filter that all types go through, or 3 filters that all types go to. And they say wings are great for accessing like beginner work. They call them, not with no disrespect, their view is that they're a little bit more like training wheels that you can go access a little bit of work here and a little bit of work there. So their big deal is subtypes, and that is a human survival filter about how to survive that impacts each of the types. And happy to come back and talk about that another time. But yes, you can unconsciously go to or consciously go to. If I'm an 8, I have access to 7 and I have access to 9. I don't spend a lot of time in 9. I spend a lot of time in 7 because I also have springs on my booty. But that also could be a subtype. It could be I'm a sexual subtype is the main one for me, and that's just a level of intensity and activity and energy. So they'll look more at subtypes, and some people are just like, especially if you've done a lot of growth work, you're like, I am square up a 3. You may not have any access to those consciously or unconsciously. You may just be really focused on your type. I mean, there's so much nuance to it. We could be here for weeks, which I would be absolutely fine with, but you all need to go to work and live your lives.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention, you just mentioned it. We have that on our website that that we're posting for you at $199. And is that the Chart Your Path Forward package?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to put a link in the chat, and
it is in there, Smith.
Yes.
Catherine put it in. It's a link, and you can sign up, but it says $199. So we need to
change that price, and Kim can probably do that right after our meeting. And so if people are interested in that, we'll get that price edited so that you can purchase that. But that's a great deal.
That's a phenomenal deal, Joanna.
Oh my gosh, that is a game changer, you guys. I mean,
and I'm putting the link here.
Joanna.
Absolutely.
There it is, right there, folks.
So
and that will be $199. So if it's not $199, just wait. We'll get that price changed.
Okay. So it's a Enneagram assessment from the one I prefer because it talks about subtypes. It does talk about wings and arrows, but what we're doing is confirming that type is what you think, because sometimes, not all tests are 100% accurate. And then we go, okay, what's working well for you? What isn't? And that's where I take my phone calls at all hours of the night, and my fiance or my boyfriend is really upset about it. And so that it came out of that. Okay, here's how you show up. Are you having any problems in these areas? So yes, so happy to do that. I'm so glad that we had that discussion, Smith, when we started.
Yes, me too. And thank you. And, all right, I don't want to cut you off. But were you done? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I put some free resources. If people are interested in those, you can also go to Enneagram Insight and just play around. I've got a course up there. So if any of you know anybody in the HR world, I am International Coaching Federation, getting ready to sit for that exam. And I am an Enneagram professional. So I work with teams, high potential leaders, all those types of things. I do workshops like this for teams. Or if you are interested in any of that, you can email me at Joanna at Enneagram Insight. And that email is up there. But I've loved being here. And so, Eileen, just so honored.
Yeah, no, this is great.
We are too. Thank you. So we'll give you a hand, and we would give it a bigger hand if we were right there with you. And but thank you so much for being with us tonight, and for sharing, for helping us to see some about ourselves through the exercises and the other tools. I'm very well may find myself getting one of those packages now. $99 seems incredibly good. So.
Yeah, just be gentle with yourselves the next couple of days. We stirred some things up. Even if you didn't get to the virtue part, we did stir some things up on the passion. So just be sweet and be well. So happy.
Okay.
Joanna,
thank you so much, Joanna.
Thank you.
Just really quickly, guys, I just updated
Good.
the price.
Oh, okay. I was just getting ready to do that.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
'cause I'm going to do it too. So this was great, Joanna. Thank you.
Yes.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it. Look forward to seeing some of you on another screen very, very soon.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks
y'all.
everybody for being with us tonight. See y'all at the psychic fair.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Joanna, this was wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. So
Yeah,
welcome.
I mean,
I'm so glad.
I'm obsessed with the Enneagram, and you put little tidbits out there that I haven't heard before. So,
Right? I mean, we've both listened to podcasts and have taken Enneagram classes, and there were just some real great nuggets that were very, very helpful. Very
I'm
helpful.
so glad. And
Yeah.
Eileen, I'm so glad that you said we've got I think most everybody's got a basic understanding. I was like, ooh, we get to do some deeper stuff.
Yeah.
It was so fun for me. I've had this presentation done for almost 2 weeks.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah,
and what I wanted to say, just to add to it, was the Enneagram things that I have done, or little tests. I thought it was all like static tests. Oh, you're this and you're category this, and just look out for that, and don't step in front of us, and don't give your wallet away, and things like that. But this was actually work. I was like, oh, you got to actually do some work,
Good.
Yeah, and it made me feel good that the personal work that I have done has made me I can see my growth because I saw where I was and where I am today. But there's still stuff in there, right? I mean, obviously, I chose that, right? And
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's so interesting. There's so many free tests and stuff out there, and I my first email evidence that I have is from 2011. And I know I'd taken tests before that, but that was one I guess I had email results sent to me. And all the free tests I came up as a 4. And so about 7 years ago, I guess I really started looking into it and I started studying it, and I just wasn't identifying enough with 4. And then I was pissed when I found out I was a 2. Because I've always been made fun of for being the crier, and why are you so involved with what everybody's dealing with, and why emotionally attached to all the things and the empathy problem, all that stuff. And I'm like, oh. So it took me a while, but through
Yeah.
all the books and the podcasts and the talking to friends and all that. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Sleeping at Last. Okay, this guy Ryan O'Neal, Sleeping at Last. I don't know if it's just him that's what he calls himself or if it's a band, but he has written a song about each of the Enneagram types. Joanna,
Yeah.
you have to hear these songs.
Okay. Joanna at EnneagramInsight.com.
Yes, I'll send it to you. But
Okay.
that was one of my friends finally was like, this is ridiculous. You need to just admit that you're a 2. She said, go listen to the song about 4s. And I was like, it's excellent, but I wasn't sobbing. And if anybody who knows me, if I'm not crying, no. So then I made the mistake of listening to the song about 2s while I was driving.
Oh, no.
And when I tell you that I couldn't breathe and I almost had to pull over, I was like, oh, I'm a 2. But
Yeah.
the song is what confirmed it 100% for me. But those songs are amazing. Sleeping at Last.
Okay.
And he also has a podcast episode about each thing.
Okay.
And I want to say that he used he picked particular instruments, and I might be making this up, but I'm pretty sure he used the artists that he had come in were also the number. It's all tied to it's incredible.
Love it. Well, thank you for that. I love sharing the resources back and forth. And for those of you that want to go to college and get an Enneagram degree, have fun with the Enneagram 2.0 with my teachers, Beatrice Chestnut and Aranyo Pius. Beautiful. Love
I
that.
subscribed to the podcast as soon as you mentioned it. I will be listening to every episode.
There's another one called Art of Growth, and these are 2. They call themselves recovering pastors, and they're 2 young guys, and they have something called Art of Growth. But they mix in a lot of psychology. It's not all Enneagram, but they're just beautiful people. But B and Aranyo are the bomb, diddy bomb. Why
Okay.
I even have another career right now because of them. So,
It's awesome. I'm excited.
Yes.
All right.
It's
Were you-
sleeping,
did you have your hand up for
sleeping
something?
at last.
Yes, sleeping at I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. What was the question to me or something?
You still had your hand up, so I just wanted to make sure that
I did have my hand up, and I didn't want to take us to 10 o'clock. But I will say it real quick. The humility thing, I don't know if I did this in the right order, if I referenced everything correctly. But so number 2, that I realize that many are in the same place as I am. And so that if I allow others to help me as I do them, there'll be a greater benefit for both. And it's more exponential. And I have a tendency to put the shield. It's like you want to help everybody, and then you'll put the shield. It's like, don't touch me. You're not going to get in there, So that's all. I just want to kind of quickly throw that up.
That's a big aha. That feels like for a 2 to say that they're going to start asking for help. It feels like that feels like big work.
Well, in your description, it said, be able to just say no and leave it at that, but what I've done is that I've learned people call me out. They're Smith, I need your help. And I'll drop what I'm doing and go over, help me. I've learned that sometimes I need to finish what I'm doing. And I'll say, I'll be right there. I'll be there in a minute. Let me finish up or whatever. And it's okay to take care of my stuff and then go help.
I love it. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you again for being with us tonight, Joanna. And I want to say that just so that we can close the meeting officially. And thank you for being with us.
Yeah. Thank you.
Until next time. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. This is good.
Eileen, thanks for telling me about this. This was amazing.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
So glad. See you later.